Welcome to All My Life, SPO's podcast, deep dives into lifelong discipleship. My name is Ryan, and I'm here with
Emma.
What's up, Emma?
We are your hosts.
We are your hosts. Mm-hmm. We're going on a journey today.
Yeah.
Where are we going?
We are hanging out with our friend Rachel today.
Oh, yeah.
Hello. Happy to be here. I'm Rachel.
Love it. I love it. So glad you're here. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Mm-hmm. You're coming to us over from both chapters, right? Or just...
I'm at the University of Minnesota.
Okay.
Yep. I work there. I was at the University of St. Thomas for 2.5 years. Roll Toms. Now I'm at the U of M. Go Gophs. You have to say those things.
Yeah.
Roll Toms.
Loyalty.
We made it up, I think.
You did?
I don't know, but it sounds legit.
Or?
Yeah, we just felt like we needed a thing to say. Like, Go Gophs.
Yeah.
They had that, so we were like, we're going to make our own. So we said Roll Toms. So I don't know if anyone else says it, but...
Wow, I thought that was like a UST specific.
Maybe it is.
That's so fun.
Someone's going to say
let
something about it, but yeah, let us know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So fun facts about Rachel. As you can probably hear, she's from Scotland. And you're also a twin.
Yes.
Fun. I also know that you're really good at thrift shopping.
Oh,
yeah. Always find really
Too
good
good.
gems. Yeah.
Actually, I should stop sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then this was the craziest thing, and it just blows my mind, is you have one Spotify playlist.
Yeah.
Can you say,
Sorry.
Yeah, tell us more.
So I don't really find music for myself. I'm pretty bad at finding new music. But I really enjoy it. So whenever I hear a good song or someone sends me a good song, I just like it. And so I have my liked songs. That's it. And I just click shuffle and see where it takes me. People find it quite
hundreds
stressful.
of songs or like thousands?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Hundreds. I also have one called Moods, and that's the same thing. It's just songs I like in a playlist. Yeah. I kind of like it. I like the spontaneity, Could be anything, but it stresses people out.
Yeah.
I personally enjoy it.
I don't know anything about Spotify because I don't.
Where do you listen to music?
Apple Music.
Oh.
Old and
same
lame.
thing, I guess.
Old and lame. This is what I hear.
Yeah.
Old and lame people do this.
I wasn't agreeing with that. But
That's fine, but kind of.
Okay.
You kind of felt it, right? Yeah. Little judgment. That's fine. You have the best accent on planet Earth.
On planet Earth.
Earth. You hear the Earth.
Okay.
Seriously,
Thanks.
you have it's my favorite accent of anybody I know in my life. I literally.
Oh my goodness.
It really is. It's just.
No way.
Oh yeah. Not even
Wow,
close.
that's
There's not even a close second.
That's pretty up there. I received that. Thank you so much.
No, it's just tremendous. But when has it tripped you up? Give us a story. Like I'm sure it's tripped you up a couple of times here.
Tripped me up. So
in the States.
Yes. I mean, I definitely think my accent has lessened significantly since I moved here
which is saying something because you have an accent.
I don't know if anyone from home will ever listen to this, but if they do, they're gonna text me and be like, Rachel, what
Do they feel like it's
happened?
just so watered down?
Yeah.
Like,
So
could you say the next two sentences
in a very Scottish
with the
accent?
richest Scottish accent?
Oh my gosh. This is hard to do. I don't have a very strong accent anyway. So I don't know, man. I think I'm talking in a Scottish accent right now.
I think you are too.
But so I can't really put it on.
That's fair.
I'm sorry.
That's fair.
I'm sorry. I just talk.
But when has it tripped you up? I'm sure it's gotten you in trouble.
It's gotten me in trouble in that people just don't understand me. So when I first moved here, I would just be talking, normally, which is fast and it's quite like, a strong accent, especially when you first move somewhere. You don't think about how you sound. You just are talking. And so for my first 2 weeks here, I would say I had to repeat myself like 3 times every time I said anything because people would just be like, what are you saying? So I think that was like the most difficult transition, was learning like what things to say, what things not to say. I use different words for things now. Like I say trunk instead of boot. So boot means the trunk of a car.
The boot of a car.
The boot of a car.
Yep.
So I've changed that. I've changed a few other things. You know, you just have to adapt, which is kind of sad, but also like good. People, I want to be understood, you know? So you just have to. But then I go home and then people make fun of me because they're like, you're an American. What happened?
Can't win.
Yeah, so you can't. I'm just going to have this strange hybrid, probably.
Can you pull off a full non-Scottish American accent?
Maybe. If you give me something to say, I could try.
What did you have for dinner last night?
What did you have for dinner last night? How bad was that?
It was pretty good.
Yeah.
A friend of ours, many of us know, Mark Archibald,
Oh, yeah.
because he's got a British accent. He often orders, like from the drive-thru, in his version of an American accent.
Totally.
And I thought that was interesting.
That's funny.
You don't have the visual to kind of, you know.
When I'm on the phone and you have those automated things like say your problem or whatever, I definitely say it in an American accent.
Really?
Well, my best American accent, because it doesn't pick it up otherwise. Siri doesn't work for me. Siri.
Whoa.
Yeah. So
Siri, yeah.
I don't bother. But anyway.
It's probably good detachment from phones, you know.
No, I still use it. I just don't talk to it.
There you go. Oh, man. All right. Well, we just want to dive in. We want to hear how you're living all your life for Christ. So when you just don't want to pray, like in any given day, like what is something that you do?
Yeah.
That you end up wanting or end up, like choosing that each day?
I love that question. Yeah. I think when I don't want to pray, it's often because there's something I've forgotten about God that's true about him. And so either it could be a lot of things, like that he loves me or that he's trustworthy. And when I don't want to pray, it's often because I'm focusing on things that are difficult for me, or I'm not experiencing that he loves me, or I'm not trusting in him. And so I try and remember those things. So when I don't want to pray, often I will listen to worship music, actually, because good worship music talks about the truth of who God is. Yeah. And so it reminds me of who he is when for whatever reason I'm having a hard time reminding myself or remembering it or experiencing it. I get outside. So I like to be in nature. And when I don't feel like praying, sometimes it's because there's a lot going on in my life or my heart that's distracting me. And so going outside is like, all right, I'm outside. I'm in God's creation, and it gives me something to focus on rather than whatever's distracting me. So nature really helps me to get in touch, I think, with the Lord, because it's his creation. So those are the two things when I don't want to pray that are like my go-tos. And then reading scripture, I would say. Like I have a few Bible verses at certain times in my life that have been really impactful for me or really helpful. And when I don't even know where to start, I will go there to the word, because it's true and it speaks about the truth of who God is. And I know that will help me remember who he is. And when all of those things happen, when I begin to let truth come into my life or let the voice of truth speak to me, that's when I'm like, all right, I want to be with the Lord. And so that was kind of a roundabout answer, but I feel like when I don't want to pray, it's usually because something is going on. And so those are the things that help me to want to pray, because I'm like, why wouldn't I want to be with the God who loves me, the God who I can trust? And I've got there because I read things or I spend time listening to things that remind me of that.
Yeah, that's awesome. I've never heard it phrased that way. I really like that I forget like who God is.
Mm-hmm.
That's really beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that too. What's one of those one or two scriptures that really speaks to you?
So, yeah, I'm like trying to remember. Isaiah, just the whole of Isaiah is awesome. Isaiah 51 is beautiful. And there's a lot of imagery in Isaiah about the Lord restoring, the Lord bringing, wildflowers in the desert and springs in the desert. And for me, I am really captured by imagery. And so when there's like really rich imagery, especially in Isaiah, that helps me to kind of get to a place of where the Lord can speak and the Lord can move. So Isaiah, and then Habakkuk 3:16-19. It's talking about, though the fig tree don't blossom and fruit beyond the vines, yet I will rejoice in the Lord. And my God is faithful. And I remember at one point in my life, I memorized that particular passage because he was just really speaking to me about his promises in that time. And I don't often memorize scripture, but I just memorized that one passage, and I often go back to that passage because it speaks of the Lord's faithfulness in season and out of season, whatever's going on. So,
and even if circumstantially it doesn't look like things are working.
Yeah, exactly. And I just think that's so beautiful. And again, the passage is speaking about the Lord's faithfulness. Yeah, when there's not, you can't see it. It's not like, or it's not tangible, or it's not happening, or maybe it feels like the opposite is happening. God is still faithful, and I love that. Yeah,
that's a beautiful. I wasn't thinking you were going to go to Habakkuk.
I know it is kind of. It's out there, but
I've been struck by that verse too. I don't know when it comes up. I don't know if it comes up in the cycle of readings or where, unless we're just in a study or something with Habakkuk. It's kind of a minor prophet and kind of obscure and but that is such a powerful verse.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
What I'm curious too. Like, I love that's a really beautiful response of just forgetting who God is. How does that get reflected in your busyness? What's the connection between a certain busyness or, that was a word you used, but is there a connection between a certain busyness and a forgetfulness of who God is? I don't know how you'd respond to that.
For me, yes, I think that's a great connection. I would say, yeah, there's definitely a connection between.
What do you think that
two
connection is for you?
Yeah, I think when I'm busy or when I'm caught up in tasks or circumstances, I often feel this kind of lack of control. My life is running away from me, and I don't have control over either my time or my energy, or it feels like it's being spent. And then I can start to grasp at control. So grasp at my time, grasp at even my emotions or my circumstances and try and change those. And in that process, I forget that God is in control. I put myself in control and I say, no one's gonna change this for me. I need to do this for myself because I'm really busy, or like life is running away from me. And so what's the answer? For me, my default can be, okay, take the reins, like take control. And then I forget. And then I think once I do that, I'm on the path to, I'm in control. I have the reins of my life. This is my ship that I am the captain of, and forget who the captain of the ship is. And so I think that's what happens to me is I think, it's easier if I just take control because I know myself, I know what I need. And so I'll just make all these decisions and I forget that God is in control and also that he knows me better than I know myself. So I would say to me, I think that's the connection for me between business and forgetfulness.
How long can that cycle of forgetfulness last?
A long time. It can be a morning. It could be like an hour. It could be weeks. it can be months. I would say for me, it has never been longer than a few months. Thank goodness, because I have awesome people in my life that are able to, that know me, and they're able to kind of recognize those things. But yeah, it can be as short as 5 minutes and as long as longer than that.
Thanks for your honesty with that.
Yeah.
What's has there, the Lord is faithful. The Lord is always sort of making his way towards us, and we often don't recognize that. But then at times there are these breakthrough moments where there is this profound sense of encounter or connection. And these happen throughout our lives, and bigger or smaller experiences, but certainly regular over time. Is there an experience or an encounter recently, or even the last time this happened? What was the last most meaningful encounter that you had with the Lord that really did shift something in you or change something in you?
I'm so grateful to know the Lord. I would just start with that. Like, he is so good, and I'm so grateful that there have been quite a few of those instances in my life where he's kind of, there's been almost like a marker, like from this moment on something changed. And I think, well, I have lots that come to mind right now, but one because it's the most recent was actually on like, I think it was like Saturday. That's pretty cool.
Couple days.
Yeah.
Today's Monday.
Today's a Monday.
2 days ago.
2 days ago or 3 days ago. I was praying. So I pray every morning, and I was praying, and I just had this experience of this encounter with the Lord in my heart that was very powerful. And I think that last week was a great week. It was a very busy week. It was a very full week. And there have been a lot of good things coming at me and also challenging things coming at me. And I had found myself, I think the evening before or that morning, a little bit like weighed down by the cares of the world. I think just a lot was going on in the world and even in my own life, and just feeling like the weight of the world, I suppose, and all of the hard things that people go through in life. And it wasn't necessarily like I was going through something very difficult, but I think I just felt like, man, human suffering is like real. I don't know, I was maybe having an existential moment, but I was praying, and I just had this really consoling experience of Jesus being in my heart and being so grateful that Jesus himself, the purest love, the purest hope, the purest goodness, chooses to dwell in me. And that despite all of the challenges and even my own sinfulness, I get to know God, and that whatever happens, he is with me and he wants to dwell within me. And it was just in my prayer, but it's hard to explain, but it was just this very profound moment of God, kind of what I was saying before, like God saying to me, I'm in control, and I have conquered the world, and all of the weight of the world that you're experiencing or that you see, I know about that, and I care about that, and I also care about you, and I choose to dwell in you. It was one of those moments that I kind of felt like sometimes God feels too good to be true, but he is true. And I had one of those just powerful experiences of the truth of who he is, and the really deep, I just had deep gratitude that I know him and that he wants to know me. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's
where did that happen physically? Where were you?
I was sitting in my prayer chair. It was just a chair in my room, and I usually light a candle and have a little crucifix, and it was there. just in my room.
I think that we're just like, I mean, that's super powerful and beautiful. But like what strikes me is that you said like I pray every day.
Yeah.
And like this was an encounter with the Lord that you had in that, and like the faithfulness to like praying every day and to like going to the Lord and like being open to him like every day, like allows this like beautiful encounter, this like reminder to happen, because that relationship is like there.
Yeah, I'm grateful. I don't pray every single day of my whole life, but I pray daily, I would say. Yeah. And yes, I'm very grateful to have a relationship with the Lord like that. Yeah.
It's powerful.
And, well, can I say one more thing?
Yeah.
Of course.
Another life-changing experience. I would say in November, I was able to go home to Scotland, which was a real gift. Wow. And it was, the circumstances weren't great. My grandmother was very ill, and I was given emergency permission to travel, and so I was able to go home and see her. And it was one of those things where you don't expect it. So there's a space of 2 days. I was deciding to fly, got permission and flew home. So it was a very quick turnaround. And I spent a lot of my time there in the hospital with my grandmother. But it was life-changing for me because I was able to see her relationship with the Lord in that time. She was very ill, and there wasn't an awful lot of moments where she was lucid enough to be able to communicate. But she prayed the whole time. She's Catholic, and her faith is very important to her. And that, to me, the experience of seeing my 95-year-old grandmother in the hospital, not able to communicate or eat, but could still pray and would pray the prayers as we were praying with her, was life-changing for me, because I was like, that is a life with the Lord. That, like, he is so in her and dwelling with her that even if she can't communicate and have a conversation, she knows how to pray, because it's just part of her. And I think it was life-changing for me because it became all of a sudden this example that I didn't have before, that I was like, I want to be like that. I want to be so in union with God that whatever's happening in my life, this will flow out regardless. So,
did you know her to be, like, did you have a sense of the depth of that faith previous to this experience? Probably knew your grandmother was Catholic, committed Catholic, loved the church, but how had you seen her faith before versus how you saw it here? And compare and contrast that.
Yeah, so both my grandparents, all my grandparents were and are very holy people, which I'm grateful for. And the grandparents I'm talking about right now, my grandma and my grandpa, they're very devout Catholics, and I knew that. Very kind of Irish, solid, just mass going, rosary praying, very holy people. And so I knew that. And they talked about God with us, which I was very grateful for. And we would pray rosaries in the car together, which as a kid, is less fun than you might think. Yeah. But I think this was new for me because my grandmother was in a very vulnerable and weak place. My grandmother is a very strong woman, and she's very smart and clever, and that still came through, but I hadn't seen her in such vulnerability before, and weakness, like human frailty. And I think what struck me was their faith. It wasn't just a thing to do or part of the identity in a cultural sense. It was, for me, it was very clear, like, this is the core of who my grandma is. This is what has made her who she is, and her relationship with Christ. It was so clear how dear Jesus is to her. And so, it was a new experience, I think, because of just how frail she was, that this came through, and it wasn't out of like, routine or just this is just what we do. It was like, this is the core of who I am. And when all other things are stripped away, that was what was left, was her relationship with the Lord. So just an amazing witness to me.
Life goals.
Life goals, hashtag. Yes, 100%. Yep.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, maybe this answer to this next question is your grandma. She sounds like a very faithful and holy woman, but who is kind of your like spiritual role model, like somebody that you like look to?
I saw this question before I came on here, and I've been thinking about it ever since. Mm. And I would say I have a lot of spiritual role models. I don't know if that's a cop-out, but I do. My parents are huge role models for me. They made their faith like real. It wasn't, we would go to mass on Sundays as a family, but we also talked about God as a family. And the way they talked about him made me realize he's a person. He's a real person that you can get to know, and they actually lived their life in relationship with him and then made decisions based off of that relationship. And as a kid, I didn't know that, but I think as an adult, I realized that they are disciples, and then they discipled our family. By their witness of being disciples, it wasn't just like, this is the right thing to do, we are parents, this is our duty. It was our family life kind of flowed out of their own relationships with God and with each other. So my parents, my siblings, they're role models to me. I'm the oldest. I'm a twin, but I was born a minute before Lizzie. So yeah. I am the oldest officially.
No.
Lizzie, I love you. You're the best.
Yeah, Lizzie's great, but she's your younger sister. Yeah.
She's my younger sister. Let it be known. All my siblings are younger than me, but they, as we've gone into adulthood, they've become role models for me. They all know God, and they all love him, and they're all following him in different ways. And I just love that we are all very different, and the way that we're living our lives doesn't look like each other, but it looks like following God. And I'm really grateful for their example. And then I grew up in a very loving, faith-filled community, and I've spent a lot of time with very faithful Christians. I lived in Michigan for a few years, and there are some people there who I look to as well as role models in discipleship. Again, living very different lives to me, but following God. And I moved there when I was in my mid-20s, and so that was a very pivotal time in my life. And so some of those people are like key mentors for me. And then even living here and St. Paul and working for SPO, my teammates are like role models to me, people I work with. So kind of the phrase great cloud of witnesses comes to mind when you say the word role model, because I am extremely grateful to have had many, many good role models. Yeah.
And that's how the Christian life should be, I feel like these communities, just like people looking out for each other, encouraging each other in faith. And
amen. You can't do it alone. You can't. Yeah. Grateful.
And yet most people's experience isn't like that. Mm-hmm. Usually the experience when you're involved in campus ministry like you are, and so many other students who you're reaching out to, their parents, their faith is stronger than their parents, and stronger than their grandparents, or and that's been so much of a narrative for the last couple of last generation at least.
Yep.
And that isn't the case for you. What a gift.
Yeah. A gift. That's it. It's just pure gift from the Lord. I'm very grateful, and I know I'm very lucky.
Wow.
Very lucky.
Speaking of this generation, if you had a microphone and you could speak to every college student out there, every young adult out there, I'm talking millions of people. But if you were to give advice, encouragement, even something around the spiritual lives of college students and young adults, what's the first thing you'd say?
I would say give God a chance. give him a chance. There will be a lot of people in your life there may be a lot of people in your life, maybe not, but there may be a lot of people in your life who don't believe in God or who have had a poor experience of Christianity. But I would say that God loves you and he wants to know you, and his voice is one, I would say, the only voice that matters. A lot of voices are gonna be speaking to you. I mean, a lot of voices speak to me every day about who I am, about what I'm worth. But God loves you, and his voice wants to speak to you about his love for you, and give him a chance. He cares. And I would say he cares more deeply about you than you can ever imagine. Someone caring about you, the person who's cared for you most in your life, is a reflection of God. But he cares for you even more deeply than that. And so you don't have anything to lose by giving God a chance. It's like the best way to live. And yeah, the only way.
Well, your family, the people you're serving with, the models of your life, your own life is a witness of that. And
yeah.
I think that's why you can say it with such clarity and confidence. That's awesome.
Yeah, he's faithful. He is. Yeah. He is faithful. Yeah.
Well, we've got some hot seat questions.
Excellent.
Because things are heating up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go.
So we ask, you answer. That's just how it goes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
So don't overthink it. Just what happens. So favorite appliance?
My electric kettle.
No surprise. But that's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah. Your favorite thing about the U.S.?
That summer exists here. It doesn't exist in Scotland. Yeah, summer is nice. Yeah. It exists. I don't know. There's other stuff I could say. People are awesome. I love
summer
Americans.
Exists. We'll live with that.
That's a very Scottish answer.
What's one creative gift that you have that not a lot of people know about?
Oh, what?
Yeah. You got some crazy creativity inside of you. What's one thing that nobody knows about, or very few people know about you?
I don't know if this would be like a creative gift, but I'm going to go with it. Often when I hear pieces of music, I imagine like scenes with it. So when I hear a good piece of music, I'll imagine like a movie scene or a particular event happening with the piece. And if it's really good, it's like quite detailed, and I don't know if that's a creative gift, but
yeah,
that happens sometimes, which is fun.
It's fun.
That's yeah. Cool.
All right, one meal for the rest of your life.
Oh my gosh. One meal, is it like starter, main, dessert, or just entree solely? Okay, I'm going to go starter, main, dessert, because why not? One meal, I would say starter would be like a good soup. Like, shout out to my grandpa. He makes the best soup ever. Meal, entree, mum's lasagna. Yeah, it's great. It can't be beat. And then dessert, creme brulee. Just love a good creme brulee. It's so good. I'd be quite happy.
One thing I'm always interested in is shoes and women's shoes.
Yes.
What is your favorite pair of shoes?
Oh my God.
Ever?
Like,
of all time?
Man,
the best pair of shoes you've ever owned?
This is a really hard question.
That's why we're going for it.
My favorite pair of shoes ever. I probably have to say my Bluntstones. It seems very.
Let's go.
They are just a plug. I've worn them every day for the last 3 years in the winter.
They're still holding up.
Nothing can get through them. I'm invincible in my Bluntstones. Amazing.
Not sponsored, but you heard it here.
Not sponsored.
If you could wake up as a master at any skill, what would the skill be?
Oh my gosh. This would change every day if you ask me this question. I have a random story with this. Could I? No, I can't. It's hot seat.
You just got to hot seat it up.
Surfing.
Yes.
Nice.
Surfing is so awesome.
Yep.
You know what else is awesome? Rachel,
Aww.
you are awesome. Seriously, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for going there and sharing so kind of honestly, vulnerably, and openly about kind of where God's at work in your life and what that looks like, and your grandmother, and just so many beautiful examples, so much to kind of think about. Remembering who God is. I'm not going to forget that quickly. We hope that people will check this show out. This is All My Life. We're on all the podcast apps. We're on YouTube. We're on Spotify for those people who like that sort of thing. Whatever your playlist plan is. But we hope that people will check it out, rate, and review. Rachel, thanks a lot.
Thanks for having me.
We'll see you next time.